There's no denying that motorsport can be a very deep and diverse web in which you can get yourself completely lost, but it all usually boils down to the one remaining factor, and that is how deep are your pockets? How much money do you actually have access to? And that is something that trips drivers up time and time and time again. It's a story as old as time, and it's something that I see year in, year out, seasons where drivers can't take to the grid no matter how they frame it, just because they cannot make the figures work and they cannot get onto that grid. With that being said, I thought it's time to offer something a little bit different. So if I was getting started in 2026, this is what I would do. First thing I would do is try to get a better understanding of why brands sponsor, why businesses pay out money to racing drivers and teams, and what they get for it in return, and what are they looking for. And quite simply, it normally boils down to one of three things that brands get out of these sponsorship deals. They're either looking for access to your audience, they're either looking for access to your network, or they're looking for access to your credibility. Or it can be a combination of all of those things. Sometimes maybe they're just looking for a tax write-off, and they're looking for someone lucky to benefit from. That happens way less often than you would actually think. But either way, it's usually one of those three things. So let's just briefly break them down. One, access to your audience. Now, what does that mean? A lot of drivers think, oh, my audience means I've got to have 56,000 followers on Instagram and 2.5 million subscribers on YouTube. No, it's not like that. It's not been like that for many years. A lot of brands now in their marketing efforts are now looking for what they call micro-influencers. They'll pay significantly less money than they would have done maybe say 10, 15 years ago, but they'll still put money in to looking to people who have influence over a smaller network. Now, why that is because there was, quite frankly, a lot of fraud. There was a lot of influencers who were puffing up their numbers and getting bots to inflate their follow count to, say, millions of people, but the actual engagement rates were terrible. They were absolutely non-existent. So what brands can be looking for is somebody who actually has a thriving, dedicated audience who engages, who is left on every word that the person says. Now, a great starting point for this is an article that I'll link down below. It's a bit of an older one, but still absolutely seminal in this day and age. It's by an author called Kevin Kelly, and it's called 1,000 True Fans. And it basically goes through the idea of all you need is 1,000 true fans who will buy your things to support you on whatever it is that you're looking to be doing. But it also brings up the idea of actually building up a community and how important that is. So that can be the first thing. The second thing that they can be looking for is your network. Who do you know? Who do you have access to? Who are you friends with? Who are you on speaking terms with? That can be a very important selling point for a lot of brands and businesses. Maybe they're looking to speak to somebody that's in a network that you have got access to, or maybe your best friend is friends with a CEO of a company and can maybe make a meeting happen. Little things like that can be of massive value. And again, it's something that I see drivers just completely ignoring, absolutely not putting any value or thought into whatsoever. That could be a huge thing. And then the third one is access to your credibility. Now, again, this might be of differing value. Maybe you don't have much credibility at the start. Maybe this is just the very start of your career and you haven't really built up yourself or your image or anything like that. But as you go on, this will be something else that is potentially something that you can offer as well. So normally that's the three things that most brands are looking for: your audience, your network, and your credibility. Okay, so we understand what brands get out of this. What do you get out of this? Well, you can potentially get money, but when you're just starting out, what's more likely and what should be more important to you is the idea of VIK, or value in kind offers. Now, value in kind offers are, for instance, you make I'll make some videos for you, and in return you give me a weekend's worth of race fuel, or some sets of tires, or something like that. So you do something for me, I'll do something for you. Now, a lot of drivers will scoff at this, and they'll be like, "Oh, no, I'm not wanting to do that." But the thing is that it's more than what meets the eye. It's more than just a set of tires. It's more than the fuel. It's more than, free coffee for the weekend, looking after your hospitality guests. It's the start of a relationship. It's an easy way for them to test the water with you. It's an easy way for them to go, "Oh, well, yeah, let's give this person a try," because they're not actually handing over any money. It makes it much easier for them to pass that through their superiors. But also, it's something for you to use as your case study. So you can prove to other brands, other businesses, "I've worked with other brands before. This is what I did for them." You can document it. You can show everything that you did for this brand, everything that you got in return as well. And then other brands are like, "Oh, well, actually, yeah, they do know what they're talking about." So there's a lot of value for you, especially when you're starting out, in those value in kind deals. But again, it can then, more importantly, come to money, which is what massively, massively helps you out. The problem with that is, I've seen this time and time again. Again, another huge mistake from drivers is not returning at least 2x, 2.5x, 3x, whatever value on the financials that are given to you. So, for instance, if somebody gives you £5,000 or $5,000 or 10,000 rand or whatever, you have to be able to provide significantly more value than they gave to you in return for that. Otherwise, what's the point? Why wouldn't they just use that $5,000, pounds, or rand or whatever to go and buy the exposure themselves, go and buy Facebook ads, or go and buy themselves hospitality seats for them and their colleagues? You've got to make it more than what they're actually giving you, so that A, they feel like, "Holy crap, this is amazing value," and B, they're going to think, "Yeah, actually, this is something that I can recommend to other people that I know in my network as well." Because we come back to that first point of the brands potentially wanting to use your network, but it goes both ways. You could be potentially trying to use their network and bringing in their friends that they've got good relationships with as well. Okay, so we touched on what brands are normally looking for, and we've talked about what you can gain from this, typical types of remuneration that drivers can get out of this. But then we need to figure out how we're going to start building this up, how we're going to build your empire. And we need to build your profile, your personal brand. So the first thing I always say to drivers is, have a plan. You don't want to just be going making Facebook pages and Instagram and TikTok and think about a website and then, all these different things, right? The main thing is you want to have a website. You want to have your website, and that gives you your email address as well. That's going to be your central hub. That's probably going to be your most important place for all of your information to go. It's where you're going to host all the details about your current partners. By the way, small rant, the amount of drivers I see who do not mention their current partners on their website is absolutely outrageous. Sort it out, please. So, website, that gives you your email as well. That's going to be where everything goes in terms of your race weekends and everything that's going to go through. Then you can choose a couple of social media platforms that you want to go on. Maybe it's going to be Facebook, maybe it's going to be Instagram, maybe it's going to be TikTok. Whatever you want it to be can be for you. Now, I'd say for just now, if you're just starting, or even if you're just looking to kind of knuckle down and get on with a proper plan for this, just stick to 2 platforms. Anything more and you're just distracting yourself for the sake of distraction. Remember, it's not about the follower count. It's not about how many people like you. It's about the engagement rates. It's about how many people talk to you, how many people share the stuff that you put out. That's the stuff that you want to focus on. So on top of your 2 social media platforms, you also want to have a YouTube channel. Now, this one's going to be a little bit sort of hit and miss, but I think just now, for the age of AI, YouTube channel is massively, massively important, because where do all of these LLM chatbots get their information from? Well, they scrape the internet and they take sites like YouTube and other information platforms to serve as everything. So the more details that you can get out there about yourself, that is the new search engine. So focus on your website, focus on your YouTube, and then the social media platforms are going to be used for building your audience, building your little community, your fan group, who are going to be out there supporting you as much as they possibly can. With the rest of the social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and things like that, a lot of that is controlled by the algorithm. So you can go and put all this work in doing a beautiful recap video of the weekends, and you put it on Instagram and nobody sees it, and you're like, yeah, there's not much point to that. YouTube isn't so bad. You can still have a decent amount of followers on that, but again, that's where your website can come in. You can create a curated list where everybody that goes on it is guaranteed to see the stuff that you put up there. So don't be afraid of curating that and making that the center of attention as well. So that's, in a nutshell, how I would get started in 2026. I would focus on understanding the basics of what brands are looking for. I would focus on better understanding what I can benefit from it in terms of my career as a racing driver. And then I would focus on building my personal brand as well, by getting the website and the email address, by going on YouTube and creating a channel for my season discussions, my race by race recaps, all that sort of stuff as well. And then choosing 2 social media platforms to focus on for the rest of the season ahead. This video was designed to be a very, very basic overview. I'm going to be doing lots more videos on a week-by-week basis, talking over everything you could possibly need to know. But if you do need a little bit of one-to-one guidance, if you do need some direct help, I'm always here. Check out wearecamber.co.uk and you can reach out to me. I'm happy to do remote one-by-one sessions, but also check out the playbook that's up there as well. That gives you pretty much everything you need to know to get started and make a successful 2026 for yourself as well. Until the next time, have a wonderful, wonderful week, and we'll see you in the next video.